People sometimes gotta stoop so low. I wouldn't do that me. I wouldn't do that me.
Welcome back, folks, to the Stockwell Eldridge Show. I'm Jason Stockwell.
And I'm John Eldridge.
I'm Stephanie Havel with Wells Fargo Home Mortgage.
And Brett Larson is on. If you want to contact Brett Larson in regards to LLC, partnership, merger, acquisition, all those things, or any legal questions.
We're learning all kinds of acronyms. EBITDA, what was that one?
EBITDA.
M&A. I don't even want to try to
Earnings before
interest deductions.
Interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization.
And amortization.
Yeah.
EBITDA.
I'll stick to learning M&A, mergers and acquisitions.
There you
I
go.
know. So
Contact him at blarson@meserlykramer.com. blarson at...
And that's Larson with an O, correct?
That's right.
Kramer.com.
Okay.
We'll have it on our Facebook page under
right.
Stockwell Eldridge Show.
What's the phone number people can reach you at?
612-672-3600 is our main line.
612-672-3600. So, and very knowledgeable in mergers, acquisitions, and I see you have a bunch of notes there and other stuff you want to talk about, so I want to see if you have anything else you wanted to bring up that might be important or helpful for people.
Well, related to the buy and hold strategy, right? So we talked about the entity that we'll use to own the real estate, the LLC tax as a partnership. Normally what you want to do if you're leasing that real estate out, whether it's to a commercial tenant or to a residential tenant, you want to have a separate entity that will act as the managing agent that will actually be entering into the lease with the tenants. Okay?
Is this for people with multiple
okay.
investments? Or
So-
what if you just have one, like duplex? Like me, I have a duplex.
Sure. So you could certainly do it with one. It makes more sense to do it as you
Expand.
acquire more.
So
right?
let me run this down. Let's say you have 10 rental properties.
Right.
You buy them in an LLC, but it's taxed as a partnership, as you
Right.
said before.
Right.
You buy them in LLC. That LLC is the owner, but not the manager.
That's right.
Now, can you hire out to a management company like I do? I just go right to a management company, Vanquish AP. They're part of the show here. They'll just take care of the management. All rent goes into Vanquish. It gets run back through, and that kind of third party.
You certainly could hire a management company through your management LLC. The reason that you would
You
split
still
it
need
up,
a separate LLC for that?
the reason I would split it up, the reason I split it up is that if I have to enforce the lease and evict a tenant and pursue rent, right?
Yep.
I don't want my company that owns the property to be a litigant in that lawsuit.
Oh, got
Because if the tenant is almost always going to counterclaim against, in order to try to reduce the amount that they're going to pay in a lawsuit, right? So if I have them go back to the management company and pursue the management company doesn't own any real estate. So even if they were to win, they're not going to collect anything against my property. So we're compartmentalizing liability exposure.
So this is a difference than what I've heard before, because normally what I hear is if someone goes over the top, and this is a little aggressive on my opinion, but they'll have 10 rental properties with 10 different LLCs, each one in a different LLC, limiting liability on that one party. You got to file taxes, you got to check it. It's a total accounting nightmare.
You'd get one K1 from your holding company personally, and it'd
So you
be
wouldn't
simple
have
that
to
way.
file checking.
You wouldn't have to file separate
taxes and all that
taxes.
stuff for everything.
You wouldn't have to have separate checking accounts for those subsidiary LLCs.
All the minutes and all that
Nope.
stuff. I mean, all the meeting, corporate minutes and all that. I mean, that's kind of where it gets overwhelming.
Right.
You know?
It could. That's why you have the management company to really interact with the outside world and enter into contracts, enter into leases, enter into the deal with your management company that's actually going to be managing. That's the company that money flows through. Okay.
Yeah.
And you'll have that company paying the mortgage payments on behalf of the LLC. So those individual LLCs do not even need to have bank accounts. Okay.
The management company.
The management company is going to take care of everything. And the nice thing about that, when you have 10 properties and they're income producing, and now you're starting to actually, as the owner, take money out of this, take income out yourself. If we run it through the management company is going to be taxed as an S corp. Okay. And the reason for that is that
Even though it's an LLC?
yes, an LLC is just a legal entity structure. It can be taxed as anything. It can be taxed as a partnership, an S corp, a C corp.
But you can choose to have a tax as an S corp?
You can choose to have a tax as an S corp. You file a 2-pager with the IRS. Your tax is an S corp. Okay, you're stuck with the S corp limitations on ownership, but those won't really even come into play in this type of a structure. Okay.
Wow.
The benefit of it is any income that I run through that S corp and I take out as a distribution as an owner of that, I don't have to pay any self-employment tax on. So I save 15% on any income that I take out. So as I start to develop, a larger book of rental properties that are income producing, I'm saving 15% on the distributions that I take.
And believe me, folks,
managing.
this sounds like it's a heck of a lot easier to set up when you're going in, because now if you already have, it's not
Right.
If you're already set up, you can go back and change everything, but you got it's gonna be a lot of work, right?
Well, yeah,
That's what I'm thinking for myself. I'd have to change a lot of stuff.
Well, it's easier, in terms of the LLCs that own the
Jason's eyes rolled back and said, okay, your accountant hasn't changed. No.
the LLCs that own the property. Those are the ones that are going to be a little bit more complicated to take out because you have a mortgage on them, right? And the mortgage company will have to sign off on that.
Yeah.
Now, typically they'll do it for especially if this is part of a broader estate plan. They'll almost always authorize it. But that brings up a great point. You want to set this up before you enter into the PA, the purchase agreement, so you don't have to assign the purchase agreement from yourself to your LLC, which I've had people try to do that before, and then the seller trying to kind of hold them over a barrel and make them pay.
Banks won't let you do that assignments, and you can do it after you close. You can close in it personally, and then
Right.
redo it. So, from a standpoint of doing this, as far as changing and stuff like that, if you have a setup that's not set up this way, the day you make the change, and it's all recorded, then that liability factors, they can't, in other words, it can't go back. They don't go back and say, oh, well, 2 years ago you didn't have it set up this way, and then today someone fell and broke their leg, but you're set up the proper way. It's that by that day forward. It's not like you can go back and say, okay.
That's right. It's not. It won't have retroactive effect, but it will. But it will apply going.
So the day, basically, time kills everything. So the sooner you do this, the better, because
right.
you're limiting your liability sooner than later.
Right, and it's a trip and fall. It's if you're enforcing a lease and managing the property.
Yeah.
Typically, a tenant who's trying to avoid rent is going to say, well, you didn't keep up the property that we were supposed to. Or
the guy in Minneapolis who the city's put him in jail because he didn't pay. I don't know. It was a mess. I read about it in the paper. He owns a ton of rental properties,
right?
And he's on their list, and they just went after him. And he sold, and they went after him on a building. He just sold the building, and then they said, "That's no, we're putting you in contempt of court." They put him in
because
jail.
you won't fix things or do. What
He just said, "Hey," because there's a way out of it for everything, right? He's like, I'm out. I don't own it anymore. So he's trying to, and he's representing himself. I read in the whole thing. He doesn't even have an attorney going.
Well, and I think too sometimes.
I think he had a few attorneys drop out on him.
Oh, probably. Yeah, that might be right. Well, anyway,
you hear so much. Well, that's what I say. You always talk to an expert or whatever, because I think real estate can be a really good investment, but make sure you're purchasing it the right way, and then also, holding it in the right format, whether
it's a great investment. You definitely should do it. And I thanks so much, Brett, for the time and information. Actually, I thought I knew a lot, and I learned a ton on this show. So I'm very happy.
Well, and there's a lot of
so.
options for financing investment properties as well. So talk to somebody or call me 612-940-7335 if you want information on how to purchase an investment property or finance.
And then you can use Jason and I to buy them.
To help find one. They're tough to find, but we can find one. And that trick that the person used on yours, Brett, is a good idea. Go back.
Yes.
Look back on stuff that didn't sell in the past, and we can do that for you. 651-400-0773. Remember, love yourself and love others.
Love others.
Have a great week.
Have a great Easter.